So as a community hall or the town hall or the community center or whatever you want to call it, have their meeting, they're predicting what's going to happen to the officer, and they're like, they're probably going to give them a medal for killing the kid in self-defense, and they're having their own little town hall meeting as a youth, which I think is an interesting subject too. And also, a lot of the film takes place in the rec hall. The rec hall is kind of the central aspect of the movie, starting off, and Officer Doberman actually goes in, and I believe this kid finds drugs on him and takes him out, which he wasn't supposed to do. So it was almost like the law was stirring it up with the youth, and the youth fighting back. And it's a very well thought out film, written by Tim Hunter, also a great director. Also, I thought it was cool they put New Granada right there, where this takes place in East Denver, Colorado. All right, so it looks like the kids are going to approach City Hall meeting and probably start to protest. They look pretty mad. Just to kind of correct things, that's actually inside the school. So it's a City Hall meeting taking place inside the high school, I guess. And I just found out from the meeting that the kid that was shot was 14, which was Richie White, played by Matt Dillon. But the kids are outside with kind of like baseball bats, and they're about to attack the school. So in this segment, one of the parents stands up to the cop because there was a rumor that the gun was never loaded, and the kid was just confused, and he's yelling back at her saying, well, he's on drugs, he had a gun, I had to shoot him, kind of thing. Well, while this is all going on, the kids, kind of like Planet of the Apes, have snuck into the ceiling of the school and are planning some kind of attack. Like they have put chains on the doors, the outside doors, from they're like bicycle chains from the bicycle stands, and they're it looks like a possible attack on their little meeting, their little city hall meeting inside the school. So let's see. All right, so the kids are outside the school grounds, and they have like a fire going, and they stole a tuba, and they're like flipping off the cop inside. So it looks like they kind of like locked them in there and they're just kind of toying with them. But it's kind of like a Planet of the Apes kind of thing. You know, the kids are the apes kind of thing at this moment. Okay, there's Officer Doberman running to the gate that's been closed and locked by the kids. And another officer's in the main hall where the meeting's taking place, telling everyone to calm down. But they're actually locked in the school right now. Here's some kids tearing up, I guess, the front office kind of stuff. There is a William Golden novel called Lord of the Flies. Peter Brook directed it. He's a great teacher of the theater and also a great director. This is kind of reminding me a little bit of Lord of the Flies. They have a fire going. You see the flame going right here before Carl Willett's character, and they're kind of looking at the house. I mean, at the school. And they're locked in, and the officers are, we have a problem, and all this stuff, you know. So they can't get out, and the kids are kind of in control. A little like Rock and Roll High School, too, the Ramones, a little bit like that, but only it's not a musical. And you can see the kids here now tearing up the library. Looks like they're mostly doing vandalism than anything really harmful. So back in the day, if you were a police officer, you had to turn your gun in, usually at the office, or leave it in the trunk of the vehicle. So they had left their guns in the trunk and had gone in, and they have locked the doors on the adults that are having the meeting. And the kids get on the intercom and start kind of pestering the authority figures and the adults. And it's very much like Rock and Roll High School, if you've ever seen that with the Ramones. It's another kind of crossover. You can see it's very much like Planet of the Apes. The kids have turned over the cars, and it's very exaggerated and pretty cool. Here the kids are banging this car to death with baseball bats and sticks and stuff. One of the kids blows a transformers and lights go off on the little meeting. The adult starts kind of screaming. So if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Cole is the one that's in charge of the town meeting in the school. And Officer Doberman has his flashlight. He's like, everything's under control. Everything's under control, Mr. Cole. And then here is one of the kids driving around Richie's old bicycle. You can see the flag right here. And anyway, for a moment, it kind of looks like Richie is like returned from the dead, but it's just another kid driving his bike around. I thought it was kind of cool. So one of the kids takes the officer's shotgun and shoots the car one time. It kind of blows up. It's the first unrealistic thing that's come about in the film, but I thought it was kind of cool, this explosion of the car in the parking lot. Because they have to leave their shotguns in the trunk too if they go into, a school. But the car blows up, and because one of the kids, gets a hold of the shotgun and right around a bicycle and shoots the car, and it just immediately blows up. But they had to have it, a car explosion, what I mean? Now this gets scary for the adults in the high school because there's a fire outside and they're locked in. Of course, they could always bust the windows. But Doberman's walking around, Officer Doberman's walking around like, just remain calm, just remain calm. And the kids are out there doing the Planet of the Apes rebellion, Here's a kid in an Indian outfit banging the car. That was cool. It's probably like a mascot thing for the school. One of the parents finds this kid named Johnny who doesn't speak. I like the shirt he's wearing right here. It's a KISS shirt, or a KISS shirt. That was kind of cool. She's probably gonna try to talk him into taking the locks off, let him out. That scene was done in a V shot, the kid with the skateboard, the one that couldn't speak. I know something to also Jonathan Kaplan or the cinematographer figured out is, this is important in filmmaking, is consistency and letting people know what's going on. See how the bar is right here? Let me go ahead and show you the V shot. You can see the bar on both sides of the angle, so you know that she's on one side of the fence and the young kid's on the other. So it's good grammar in filmmaking. I'm gonna show you. See, the kid approaches and you can still see the bars right here. These are things you have to pay attention to in cinematography and filmmaking, because if those bars were not there, it would be it'd be still kind of, you still could figure it out, but you can really figure it out because the bars are in the foreground, and then there's stuff in in the background and all that kind of stuff. But those are the little things you have to think about when you're making a movie. So that was kind of cool, when you're studying a movie or making one. So she tells the kid to get a phone, and he, he dials 0 for her. And now she can call to the outside world and find freedom from the young Planet of the Apes kids kind of thing. And finally, the police arrive because the call went out. Doberman leads the way as the police let all the town hall people and people that showed up to the adults, showed up to the meeting. Kind of leads the way out. So that's character name is Cole, and he's looking at the destruction. He does like a classic 180 turnaround towards the camera after seeing these, the destruction of the vehicles, which I thought was kind of cool. And Doberman begins chasing after the kids in his cruiser. So Doberman's telling Carl Willett, don't run like Richie, because he killed Richie. And right there is the, I guess it's some type of brass horn that was stolen from the school. Tuba. It's called a tuba. It's way out there in the background. So Officer Doberman has the kid handcuffed in the back of his car. He's about to send him to the detention center. And another kid shoots the car with a shotgun. He goes flying into some weird shack thing. The cop car goes into the building, this little like shack building, and catches on fire, and he takes the keys from the cop is knocked out, and he takes the keys and unlocks, so I'm sure he's gonna get out or he'll burn alive. I don't know about the officer though. So I like how he fills the whole screen with fire. So Doberman's left in the car, kid makes it out just in time, the car blows up, obviously killing Sergeant Doberman. So the cop doesn't make it. So they show kind of basically like a dissolve or a mix of the kid's face and the fire Thought that was interesting. So I thought the very ending was kind of Spike Lee. It's the song that comes on is by the Five Stair Steps, called "Ooh Child." It's that song, "Ooh Child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh Child, things are gonna get brighter." Anyway, that's playing as they're walking out, and they're obviously handcuffed and arrested, and the order has been replaced, and the elders are in control and the younger are not. That kind of thing is still in place. So like many films before it, it shows the consequences of messing with authority and law. And I think it kind of has a positive theme. The kid gets arrested. He has to be separated from his parents, go to a detention center. Doberman mentions he'll only be there for 2 weeks, then he can come back, because he only rebelled, but he was scared, and that's why he ran. But anyway, that's the story of pretty much this 1979 Jonathan Kaplan film, Over the Edge. I don't know if this content will go through. If it does, you can do stop-by-stop play. I think you can. Anyway, they're mostly stills, so. One of the final shots right here on Over the Edge, 1979. So it shows a series of shots inside of the bus. These kids are kind of celebrating as they go under the overpass. And here's another final shot of the kids looking down from the overpass, and all the kids that were involved in the protest are locked up. Something we saw in Occupy New York and other kind of protest. Pretty good film. So that's Pamela Ludwig. She was in the TV series V. She was born in 1960. She also was in a few other projects. She actually had quite the career after this. She did Tex, which was directed by Tim Hunter, who was the writer on this one. But her last movie was 1990. She did something called Pale Blood. And she did a lot of films until 1990, but she has not done anything since 1990. She did very well in this film too. Promising actress, but nothing after 1990. There's Michael Eric Kramer. He did a few things too. I think he worked with Jonathan Kaplan on some other projects. Didn't really work a whole lot though. He never really became iconic, but he was very good in this film. He plays Carl Willett. So Michael Eric Kramer, he did do Project X. He was Lieutenant Vokes in Project X. He also got to do a lot of television. His last project was in 2000. He hasn't worked since. Thought this was an interesting little last shot too, the cop behind the detention bus. So the slow scrolling is done by the Five Stair Steps, Ooh Child. And it's a slow scroll, and that's a cut.